What's up, folks? This is Mr. Hexamillion. Today I'm going to discuss another certain topic regarding BlastphamousHD. Last time, I went over the drama he had with Chavez and sex bitchin'. I talked quite a bit on how he handled the situation as well as similar incidents with former friends in the past, but this time, I'm switching it up a bit. Right now, I'm going to focus more on Maurice himself regarding his current status on YouTube. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because when I talked about the Chavez incident, a lot of you guys had quite a bit to say. Some of you pointed out that I'm not looking deep enough into it or that Maurice is more deceitful than I'm assuming, to which I respond, I don't think you're wrong. What, you thought I was gonna be like, nah, you guys are tripping, Maurice can't be that bad, he's a better person deep inside, you don't understand, fuck you! Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna be like one of those stans who stick by their YouTuber's side despite everyone else's disapproval. Even so, I still don't think that Maurice should be looked at as an entirely shitty person. Whatever's going on, it's his business.
Ah, come on, don't start that shit again.
What? Who said that?
It's a goddamn conscious, dumbass. You wrote me in the script.
Look, bro, I don't want to think about this.
You know there's something more going on with Maurice. Everybody knows it, but you don't want to talk about it because you just love his content. Even the viewers seem to notice.
I could be mistaken. There's probably still
Do you
hope.
fucking hear yourself? How you gonna call him out for being the fake one if you don't even talk about that rancid shit directly beneath your nose?
What are you even talking about?
You know what I'm talking about? He's showing all the signs and you can act like it's nothing. What happened to that grain of salt lecture, huh? If it looks like shit and it smells like shit, God forbid, it's probably shit!
Okay. You're right. I can't pretend anymore. I can't deny it anymore. I have to speak up.
God, that was so cheesy. Shut up, will ya?
Alright, time to address the elephant in the room. If I want to give advice, I should follow my own advice and face reality like a real one. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I uploaded my previous review, I knew it wasn't gonna be perfect. I had a feeling I was probably missing something that was gonna be pointed out, and I'm not gonna deny it. I did say that I was still rooting for BHD, I did state my opinion that he's not a terrible person, but I guess I wasn't thinking deep enough. Deep down, despite the positivity, I still don't think he's 100% innocent. You got me. I don't know if Maurice is actually good or not. I am trying to stay positive about him and his channel because I've liked his content for a long time, but even so, there are still some things about him that just don't feel right. After doing a little more research, I finally came to the blatant realization that Maurice probably did do something really fucked up. More than we already know. During my first review, I didn't want to speak too negatively about Maurice because I didn't know how many of you guys still have love for him or feel the same suspicions as I do. I wasn't sure how serious it was to everyone else, so I tried to keep it to a minimum because I thought if I said too many negative things, I might receive a bunch of hate and death threats. But hey, maybe most of the crap I said was bullshit. I'm glad at least most of the comments are corrections for reminding me what I missed. I wouldn't have thought too much of it, especially if I'm just being judged by someone who identifies themselves as Stalin, but if a lot of you guys are telling me in unison that something really is going on with Maurice, now I know that I'm not just tripping. Unless I'm insisting on some idiotic bias that he's a good person. I'm not holding back anymore. Alright, time to get down to business. Aside from Josh and What's-Her-Face, quite a few of Maurice's other friends strangely just left and haven't really talked to him anymore. Either they started some drama with Maurice, or he cut them off for some other reason. Not long after he told us about the Chavez incident, Dr. J and the Women, aka Randy, told his side of the story, and why he doesn't talk to Maurice anymore. I gave it another watch, and here's what I picked up from it. Truthfully, he didn't want to talk about the situation, he just wanted to put it all behind him because he doesn't really care about it anymore, which is completely understandable. But the stuff he said about his final relationship with BHD starts to thicken the plot. In the video, Randy explains that he got laid off from his job initially because Maurice found out that Randy had COVID. Now that's actually reasonable. If you are infected with COVID, it would be wise and safe to avoid it being passed on to your other coworkers. That wasn't really bad at first, but then Randy talks about what happened when he tried to get back in touch with him. Then things start to get weird. At one point, Maurice called Randy when he was at his granddad's funeral. The reason he called was to tell him that he was going to cut his pay. That wouldn't have been too bad if Maurice called him at any other time. I'm gonna have to agree with him. If you have to call someone about cutting their pay or laying them off work, you have to tell them a few days in advance so they can prepare for another job search. But cutting someone's pay the very minute they lost a loved one is pretty cold and messed up. Even if Maurice didn't know what was going on, he could have just asked so he could determine how he should respond. When Randy talked about getting back in touch with him, he would say that Maurice was screwing him over and bribed him with money instead of admitting he was wrong about the stuff he did. The way he talks about how Maurice has changed, I don't think he's far off. Here's another thing he brought up about Maurice that sounds pretty damn familiar. Remember Alex? You know, the cash me outside girl looking ass chick? Here's what Randy said about her. Back when she was hanging out with the gang, she gave everyone bad vibes. Everyone did not feel comfortable around her, except for Maurice. Randy tried to tell him that something was off about her, but Maurice would always deny him and say he was tripping or something.
Back in the day when I was editing for him, and he would have his friend come through.
LOL Alex. Oh, was I not allowed to say her name?
I don't know. Look,
yeah, I already know who she is.
Okay. He had her come to the house when I was editing for him, and I was there kind of late, and he would just leave. And, like, she would be there at the house, and I was there at the house, and it made me very uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't know what she's on, and she definitely gave me, like, a very bad vibe of, like, you know.
I just want to say,
like, she
gave everyone in the house, except for him, a bad vibe. So
yeah.
Everyone except BHD was like, yo, something's off with her.
I've talked to him about it. That's the fucked up thing.
Even I did,
like,
because he was like, what do you think about Alex? And I was like, something's weird about her. And then he was like, and then he just walked away.
Yeah. She gave me, like, a very, like, I'm gonna make accusations vibe.
For those of you who do remember her in some of his reaction videos, she was pretty fucking weird. Then after a while, she just disappeared, without a trace. I don't think Maurice gave us an explanation as to why she isn't around anymore, but Randy's description of her gives a pretty good hint as to what happened.
She literally walked in and just goes, bah! And then, like, runs out.
What I think possibly happened is the exact same thing that happens every time Maurice lets some whack-ass person into his life. They start some drama, point fingers at Maurice and accuse him of not caring about them, try to screw him over, and then get booted from his life. It's the same fucking cycle. And he's letting this happen so many times that it's getting ridiculous. And the reason it keeps happening is because he doesn't listen to reason when it comes to his partners giving their thoughts or concerns about their coworkers' bullshit. And the biggest problem about it is that he just leaves us in the dark when we notice something is wrong until he finally caves in out of guilt or some other convoluted reason. For a while, Maurice has been acting pretty strange lately. He always tends to do this thing where he brings up some random bullshit and then immediately drops it.
Nigga, that ain't no kitty cat, nigga, that's Rumpelstiltskin! Or a Smeagol from Lord of the Rings! Or a girl that I only had a one-night stand with, just that once. You know, it just doesn't look right.
It takes as long as several months to a couple years before he finally talks about it. It could be because the story is completely messed up and he just doesn't want to talk about it. Or maybe there's something else in the story he's trying to find a way to twist because it might put Maurice in a bad spotlight. I can't be too certain, but now that I think about it, aren't a lot of his stories really messed up? Also, why does he take so long to tell his side of the story after everybody else? Also, how did his website, the only place that you could view the Chavez incident, go offline after someone suspected him of being jealous?
Is it that grossly apparent that I'm jealous?
I don't know how many of you remember this, but in one video in his old reaction channel, Josh tells us something a little extra about Maurice's personality. He looks into the camera and says to us that Maurice exaggerates everything. Also, in the video where he talks about his beef with him, he stated that Maurice sometimes switches the details in his story sometimes. I don't think he's wrong. And I'm gonna show you. Here are some examples of Maurice's inconsistent exaggerations and behavior from some of his previous story times and videos. A few years ago, Maurice did a video about going back to college. Here's what he first said to explain what was supposedly going on.
A lot of you guys don't know this, but I still go to college. To me, I'm going more for fun. You know, I enjoy learning new things, meeting new people.
But then, he posts a follow-up video where he says something completely different.
I'm about to sneak into this next class that's got like way more in it. It's got like, saw like 14, 15 bad like all culminating outside the goddamn class and So I was like, that need to be my class right there. The art class I went to earlier. We about to sneak into that.
So right now, I'm heading to UNLV. I might sneak into some UNLV classes too, just to see what they about, because I don't think I haven't been in any of them. If I do, I'm gonna either find a psychology class or an acting class, you know, because those tend to have the most people, women
women, it's just, there's a lot of women in those classes.
You mean to tell me that all you think about throughout your entire YouTube career is bitches, titties, and vagina, and all of a sudden, you just want to go back to school to learn new things and meet new people? To roughly translate it for you guys, Maurice is basically saying, yo, I'm bored, time to hunt for some pussy. You know what's even worse about this? Maurice would even mention in his videos about how he doesn't like learning in school and misses the females.
Since I can remember, I generally tend to be really attracted to college girls. They tend to be more rambunctious, if you get my drift. Usually they're really physically fit, you know what I mean? And they have a lot of college chick friends that if they don't work out, you can usually just date them as well. I love how the only one I got was the one that had nothing to do with me. That's why I always take my test in school. Mother.
Here's another example of Maurice contradicting himself. Back when he animated his story time where he got jumped by 11 dudes at his job, he talks about the place that he worked at, until he says something a little extra. He even did a reaction to this same video where he flat out regrets making these statements.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. One of the main reasons why I got the job was because I knew that there would be a bunch of vagina there. You know, I'm talking to this chick, and it was so cool with this chick. Like, I liked the personality so much that I became friends with her, so that I could get my penis in her later. But for now, we're just friends. I forgot that I was that truthful in this video.
Just as Josh stated, Maurice would exaggerate something when he tells a story, but then switches it up with something else. It just matches up too well. Here's one of the biggest problems with Maurice. Like he said what Dave Chappelle said, it's good to be real sometimes, and it's good to be fake sometimes. Unfortunately, Maurice keeps it way too real and way too fake. Sometimes he's too honest to the point where he says something personal that he probably doesn't want us to know about. But then, he holds his tongue and tries to come up with whatever lies or excuses he can think of in order to cover it up. Like Randy had told us, Maurice has changed after everything that has happened. As you guys have mentioned, he's not the same as he once was, and not in a good way. If Randy is right about all this, it would explain a lot. If Maurice says he's actually considerate and fair to where he put the past behind him, and doesn't let the past get to him, then why is he so petty and jealous? If he really cares about his fans, then why doesn't he explain himself honestly? Doesn't he realize that he's doing more harm keeping quiet than if he had told us? As far as I know, it is strongly possible that this vicious cycle of Maurice constantly getting screwed over and going through all these jacked up experiences have changed his perspective in life. Bitterness had finally poisoned his mind, flipped the switch in his perverted skull, causing him to slowly spiral through his descent into madness, deceit, and hunger for power, which will eventually lead to his ultimate demise like many other former celebrities, leaving what was once a talented individual that inspired many reduced to a minute stain on this godforsaken platform left to be forgotten in the vast and unavailing depths of the YouTube algorithm. Or maybe I'm just tripping, I don't know, I really don't know. Some of the stuff I'm saying probably makes sense, or maybe overall what I'm saying is bullshit, but at the end of the day, this is just my speculation. I'm just theorizing off of what I know or recently researched, but I can't come to a valid conclusion. I guess I got tired of BHD keeping too many secrets, and then predictably getting bitten in the ass because of it. I'm tired of hearing it! So I personally decided to take matters into my own hands by explaining the drama as well as Maurice's odd and dishonest behavior. But now I realize that by doing that, I'm just yammering on like a total shitface with very little supportive details.
Hey man, don't you got anything better going on in life?
Look, I get what you guys are saying. I don't understand the situation completely, which is why some of the things are kinda off, but if Maurice really needs to be called out, clearly it can't be done alone. That is why we have to take matters into our own hands. That's right folks, I'm calling out to you. If there's enough evidence out there supporting our suspicions, I'm gonna need your help. If you've seen the Jack Harlow and Flights React sus moments, maybe the same can be done with BlastphamousHD. Coming up with my own conclusions doesn't really say much, but the real point is not just making a verdict. What we demand is the truth. It's not always possible to come up with a valid conclusion, but if every valid piece of evidence were to come together, the footage will speak for itself. All we need is a compilation of Maurice's sus moments. Look through any video or content that exists on his channel or social media. If you find Maurice saying anything sus or contradictory, send the video link or file to this email that can be found in the description. Please describe the specific time that the sus moment took place. There needs to be an investigation. Maybe I'll call it the FBHDI, the Federal BlastphamousHD Investigators. Send whatever evidence you can find and it will be stored safely in a top secret file. If you can do that, it all might come back as a BHD sus compilation. That goes for you too, Stalin. If Maurice has been kicking it with them sexy Russian females, dig up anything you can from the KGB and send it to me. If any of you are in any way suspicious about Maurice and what he does behind closed doors, if you've had it up to here with Maurice not saying anything, then follow these steps and the video may become a reality. We can do this. And BlastphamousHD, I'm talking to you if by some convoluted chance you're watching this. Because if you are watching this, I'm sorry. Not sorry. But you brought this on yourself. If you're really not the lying sack of shit that people are saying you are, then tell us what's going on. As for the rest of y'all, subscribe to the channel if you want more of this trashy content, smash the like button or hit dislike. This is Mr. Haxamillion. Peace out!